Hello all, welcome to Tech Capture. So in this our playlist Mastering Google Cloud Architecture. So this is our second video, and in this video we are going to see what is a Google Cloud Architecture framework. Okay, so this video will be a bit theoretical, but trust me, if you are going through this video, even though if your role is not cloud architect, if you are as an working as a cloud engineer or data engineer or security engineer, this video will definitely help you. Okay, so you will get a lot of things from this video, like how usually a cloud architecture design will work, what are the things we have to remember while designing any cloud solution. So all these things we are going to cover in this video, so let's stay tuned till the end of this video and you will learn a lot of things from this video. Now let's get started and we'll see what is a Google Cloud Architecture framework. So basically this Google Cloud Architect framework is, I would say, a set of guidelines, set of best practices or set of recommendation provided by Google to help developers who will be creating solutions on Google Cloud, to help architect, to help security engineers. So they have provided some best practices and a recommendation. So suppose if security engineer is working while designing the solutions and securing the solution on Google Cloud, Google has provided the best solutions and guideline. Okay, these are some guidelines you have to keep in mind while designing your solutions or setting up the security of a Google Cloud environment. So that is actually a Google Cloud framework, and here you could see it provide recommendation and best practices, as I said, and it is based on some 6 pillars like well architected solutions. It's solution which meets all cloud architecture principle. So now the things we are going to discuss in this video are not only related to Google Cloud. This will be applicable to all the cloud, just some terminologies will be different, but if you are from any cloud, you are working as on any cloud, this will be beneficial. So what are these 6 pillars or architecture principle? So these are architecture principles, or I would say 6 pillars from Google Cloud Architecture framework. First is operational excellence, second is security, privacy and compliance, third reliability, then cost optimization and performance optimization, and system design is common across all and which is a base principle for all these architecture principle. Okay, now we are going to see all these principles one by one. Now we'll see a first security principle on security. Inside security also there are some security guidelines which we have to follow while creating a Google Cloud architecture. So we'll see the first guideline. So build a layered security approach. Implement security at each layer in your application and infrastructure by applying defense in-depth approach. So as we earlier also discussed, if you are creating a network layer, try to implement a secure network approach. So follow all the best practices and security guidelines for creating the network. If you are creating a compute engine, just follow all best practices to create compute engine securely. So that is a best idea to create a secure infrastructure, that is build secured approach. Second will be automate deployment of sensitive tasks. So just say example of creating infrastructure resources. So try to create it automated way. Try to use infrastructure as a code like Terraform and keep all the default value. So suppose I want to use encryption by default or encryption using KMS key. In Terraform code, hard code that value. So always VMs will be created with encryption, and if someone tries to create a virtual machine or a disk without encryption, the Terraform code should fail. Same with, like, suppose you don't want anyone to provide someone a owner role or project level role, try to automate that task from Terraform. If someone is trying to create with owner role, it should fail. So you can set all these features in your infrastructure as a code. Even for application deployment, you can do all these security or sensitive tasks automated. Okay, so this is a second option, I would say. Then automate security monitoring. So you always have alerts mechanism by detecting security vulnerabilities from your infrastructure or cloud environment. Then meet a compliance requirement for your region. So while storing PII data, you should always redact that PII data, or you should hide that PII data. So suppose I am working for a payment domain and I am storing the transaction data of credit card or debit card. So there should be always way to hide the credit card number, or there is, suppose I am storing the PAN card number, there is always option to hide or redact the PAN card number, so no one can see that personal information, even if your support teams wants to. Okay, so then comply with a data residency. So you have to always comply with your local guidelines. So if you are storing data for a US government, you should see what are the guidelines to store data for US government. There are like data should not be stored out of US, so you have to follow that guidelines always, where your data should be resided. Okay, and shift security left. So DevOps and deployment automation let your organization increase the velocity of delivering products. To help ensure your products remain secure, incorporate security process from the start of the deployment process or development process. So as I earlier said, always think about security first. Even if you are creating a single resource, it should be secure. So these are a security guidelines provided by a Google Cloud Architecture framework, and if you follow this, your infrastructure will be always well architect in terms of security. Now we'll see another guidelines on reliability. So what are the principle while creating a reliable infrastructure? So Google approach to reliability based on the following core principle. So reliability is your top feature. So what Google says, reliability should be your top product feature. So suppose, just take example of your WhatsApp. So WhatsApp reliability should be my top feature. My WhatsApp should be always accessible, it should not go down. So there was few months back, there was issue that messages were not able to delivered, and WhatsApp was down, even Instagram was down. So it should be your top feature that your system should not go down and should be always accessible. If your system is not accessible, there is no point by applying other features like applying WhatsApp call, applying like video call, if your WhatsApp server itself is down. So reliability should be your top feature always, and your system and your application should be always accessible to users. Okay, and what is the second? Reliability is defined by users. So even if you try to define your reliability by some kind of SLO or uptime, it should be always measured by a user. So the user must be happy with how the service performs. Okay, that is the main things. Even if you measure your CPU, or even if you measure, okay, there is latency is very good. So all these things, the users is the end parameter who should measure your reliability. Then 100% reliability is a wrong target. Okay, so assume I created one application, one shopping platform. Okay, so 100% reliability is a wrong target. So if you are purchasing any service, or if you are using any platform, there is SLO defined. So if it is 100% SLO or 100% reliable, that means it should never go down. But if you are designing your solution, setting up 100% reliability is a wrong target. So you have to define some SLO. So SLO you can define, suppose in terms of hours, like how many hours you can sustain downtime, or suppose in 97% my system will be always available, so it can sustain 3% of downtime, and that 3% downtime you can utilize to apply new feature, that is called error budget. So 97% you will always keep your system up, 3% you will use that downtime to add new feature or do a new releases or a deployment. So there always should be a error budget, and you should not have set up SLO as 100%. Okay, so that is again 100% reliability is a wrong target. So always remember, don't like commit for 100% reliability to any of the clients. So always set up, even if you set up 99%, just set up that SLO, and that 1% you use for new feature. And then reliability and rapid innovations are complementary. So if your system is performing well, if you define 97% but still you are reliable enough like 100%, then you have 3% of error budget, and you can keep applying that I would say new feature. So suppose if your system is not stable, then you can focus on SLO instead of adding new features. So if you are more reliable and you are having enough error budget, then you can add new features. So reliability and rapid innovations are complementary to each other. And then third option is performance. So performance optimization is a continuous process, and it is not one time activity, it's based on the diagram, you can say. So just take an example, I am creating one architecture, so I need like 40 GB RAM for my application. So that is like I suggest, given the requirement I need 40 GB of RAM, so I created a compute engine with a 40 GB RAM. Then I am monitoring the CPU and disk uses. Okay, so I monitored, okay, there is 40 GB is not even required, it is only assuming using a 10%. So instead of 40 GB I will use only 10 GB. So then I will optimize. What will happen then, even my cost will be reduced and the performance will be better, and performance will be like up to mark. But suppose I'm monitoring and 40 GB is not enough, my disk utilization is like 95%, and my code is application is becoming slow. So what I can, based on that monitoring, I will add more 10 GB or more 20 GB. So that is I am optimizing the performance. There are two things, you have to optimize performance as well as you have to optimize cost as well. So in this case, the performance is always the first priority. You should not, in the sake of cost, you should not degrade your performance. Okay, so in this case, now you monitoring your performance is not enough, then you can add more disk, you can add more power, you can scale your infrastructure. So that is your optimization of performance. So optimization in can be your kind of like code, it can be infrastructure, it can be your network. So you can optimize performance based on the your requirement. So that is based on the performance, that it is continuous process, it is not one time. Every time you have to keep monitoring. If anything performance is degrading, you have to take required action to optimize your performance. Then cost optimization again. So in cost optimization, you have to adapt FinOps framework, you have to monitor and control cost always. So in terms of FinOps frameworks, like whenever you are creating resource, you always consider about a cost factor as well. Okay, if I am not required to use like costly disk, so if I have to create small application and the persistent disk is enough, then in that case I should not use a SSD which is costlier. Okay, so always try to consider a cost as well. If you are in architecture, if you are a developer, you always think about cost. That is like FinOps mindset. Then monitor and control cost. So you always visualize your cost, you create dashboards, you create reporting, so you can understand okay what is the cost for particular services, particular like application, and based on that you can optimize cost. So you can optimize cost for compute, container and serverless. You can optimize cost for storage, then you can optimize cost for database, you can optimize cost for networks. For each layer there are separate guidelines to how you can optimize your cost. Okay, so you can use that specific guidelines to optimize your cost. So that will be, you can found that in your documentation. So always remember the role of cloud architect is to define what to do. Okay, once you understand what to do, then architect or their team can figure out how that things can be done. But first the architect should know what to do to optimize my cost. Okay, what to do optimize a storage cost, what to do to optimize a database cost. So the role of architect is understand that what to do concept. Okay, and how to do, then it can get help from documentation, it can get help from like networking team, it can get help from DBA team. So that is a second approach. Then the operational excellence, in that case that if you architect while designing solution should think about the support team as well. It is not like while designing architecture I am putting a lot of manual efforts, or I'm putting a lot of manual tasks that has to be performed on daily basis. So no, I should be creating architecture which have like less manual or negligible manual tasks or 100% automated process. So it includes like automated deployments, it include like monitoring, alerting and logging. So suppose my team don't want to check all servers are up or down by going to the each and every server. They should be monitoring and alerting. If server is down, it should create an alert to my mailbox or my Teams channel or my Slack channel. So there should be enough monitoring and alerting to reduce manual task. Okay, then establish cloud support and escalation process. So that is again the part of the support process and SRE principles. Manage capacity and quota. So there is a capacity and quota for each and every services, so we have to manage that also. So these all are operational principle. Then plan for peak traffic. So again, suppose I am handling any like e-commerce website and there is a yearly sale. So during that sale the traffic will be high, so I have to plan for that high traffic. My server should not go down or server should not slow down. So I have to plan how my infrastructure will be scaled in case of high traffic. Then the last one is cultivate a culture of automation. So always try to make a culture of automation. Do not keep anything manual while designing the solution or while handing over environment to the replication team. You should not keep anything manual. Okay, so while creating infrastructure, while doing like your application deployment, everything should be automated, and that is a practice you have to follow end to end while creating your infrastructure till the time you are supporting your application. So you have to always cultivate the culture of automation. Okay, and these are all principles we have like discussed as of now. And if you want to know more about this Google Cloud Architecture Framework, you have visit this documentation. Okay, here are all principles and all best practices and recommendation are in more detail. So I have covered all these things in summarized way as a part of this playlist like mastering Google Cloud Architecture. So these are the basic things we have to cover. What are the basic principles, what are the pillars of architecture framework, and these are the things we have to always remember while designing a cloud native solutions or Google Cloud infrastructure. So I hope you understood what are the things we have to remember while creating a secure, scalable and reliable infrastructure in a Google Cloud. So that's it for this video. We'll see multiple topics in another videos in mastering Google Cloud Architecture, and we'll see you in next video. So thank you for watching this video and we'll see you again.